Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we have the meta snapshot for patch 14.1b. There was a B patch. It's essentially just nerfing Annie, Samira, Rengar, Kabuko, and Anima Squad. I will say that Annie and Samira nerfs are quite big, but Rengar, even though he got nerfed, I think he's one of the best comps right now. Kabuko, big nerfs, and Anima, like slight nerfs. It's still a good comp if you get a good opener for it. Right now, I think the top played comps are going to be Executioner Reroll, which is the Rengar build, Exotech, Cypher, Anima Squad, and Street Demon. I think these are just the strongest comps right now. Some of them need requirements like Cypher, Anima Squad, and Street Demon. You want like emblems for Street Demon and Anima Squad, and obviously you need the Cypher start for the Cypher start. Exotech, you do need to get a certain Exotech item for Zeri, and Executioner, you obviously want to just get a good start for that reroll comp. But when you play the game, you're bound to get one of these. Nitro Jihn, or Nitro in general, is really good right now because there's more than one way to play Nitro. I think there are like 3 different ways to play Nitro, and you don't even need the 3 stars. Zeri Bastion, Zeri's OP, she's played in Exotech, she's played in sometimes Cypher, sometimes Nitro. She's played in everything, so every Zeri comp's good right now, but I think Bastion's the worst version. But it's still good because Zeri's good. Twisted Fate reroll, one of my favorite reroll comps right now with the Rage Blades. Dynamo Misfortune, very solid 4-cost comp. Next we have Bruiser Fiddlesticks. You do need the emblem for that, but I think this is one of the strongest comps if you do end up getting it. Divinicorp is a different Zed comp. Shaco Reroll, solid if you get the opener for it. Seraphine Techie, okay. Vayne Reroll, decent, especially with Runon's Hurricane. Like with Runon's Hurricane augment, category 5, this becomes like S tier in my opinion. But without it, it's kind of like whatever. And then in the B tier, we move down Strategist and Marksman Aphelios. They're just better comps out there right now. Like they nerfed Samira pretty hard. Like if you go to teamfight.lol and go to champion stats, Annie is not doing that great, had better days right now. Samira is in the dumpster, 4.22. Like legendaries, they should not be this bad. Normally most legendaries are around a 4.0 because it assumes if you get them, you made it to the late game already, and probably people already got knocked out. But if you are looking for comps to one trick, it's definitely got to be the Rengar reroll or Exotech. Maybe not Exotech because you need to know which items belong in each person. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but if you get an opener for it, you definitely can go for it. Cypher, great cash out comp, Exodia comp if you're able to get the big one. And then some good beginner comps going to be Anima Squad, Street Demon. Another one is going to be like Shaco Reroll, things like that. But let's get into how to play each and every one of the comps. I made some updates to the website, and right now we have Rengar 2 versions, the Divinicorp version and the Rengar version. I think Rengar is going to be the one you want to focus on right now because he is just super duper duper strong. Get an artifact item on him and he's going to be even better. And then if you get Graves 3, great, he's not mandatory. And also work around Varus and Vex. Lastly, Urgot's a way to cap out the comp. Just put whatever leftover items you have on him. And again, the only thing you really care about is Rengar 3. Varus 3 I think is optional if you get like Vex 2 with carry items, because you don't get that many items in the game. And this is kind of like one way to balance it out. But for the requirements, like lots of Executioners, of course, artifact items, healing items, because you want like Rengar to be durable. And then since you're itemizing a lot of people, get item and econ augments, because that's what's going to make the team really pop off. But the way to play it is you want to figure out who your carry is, then level up to level 6 on 3-2, roll for a 2-star carry. It could be like Graves or Rengar. You just need an item holder for all your stuff to carry you in stage 3, and then slow roll for whoever you're going for. Most likely in this meta, it's going to be Rengar and Varus, so you want to go level 7 and do that, and then leftover items on whoever you care about after that. Next build up we have is going to be Exotech. Exotech, you want Flux Capacitor. It doesn't have to be the first item, but it has to be at least the item if you get 5 Exotech, because waiting until you get 7 is a little bit late, but it is still playable. But I recommend if it's the first or second item, go for this comp. Just go Zeri with Rage Blade, Gunblade. Some people also do the double Rage Blade. And then Jihn is also a good champion to itemize as well. Keep in mind for Exotech, if we read the trait, the units only get a benefit if you put items on them, so you definitely want to stack up 3 items on your Exotech units. Focus on Sejuani, Jihn, and Zeri, and then if you have extras, put some on Mordekaiser and sometimes even Varus. But after that, you just want to find a random +1. It could be Kabuko, it could be anyone else. Like once you have the 7 in, I've even seen people go deep into Bastion. You could run like an Aurora, you could run an Urgot. There's a lot of different things you could kind of slot in just because you have so many random traits you could fit. And because this comp does not have any legendary units, it's very easy to get to 7 Exotech and then use that legendary slot as your 8th unit. There's also a reroll version of the Exotech build. I don't really like this one as much. I like the standard one a lot more, but it's just built around Varus and Mordekaiser 3-star. definitely playable, but I think the Zeri version's a bit better. If you do get Exotech emblem that builds out of a spatula and a glove, it does help you reach 7 much easier. It's not by all means like that necessary, but it is pretty useful. And Kindred's also a good unit to complement this comp with because it gives you both Marksman and Rapid Fire for Jihn and Zeri. If you want to dive deeper into this comp yourself, click the Explorer button down here. I have them on a bunch of the other comps, and it essentially gives you all the games that have been played for whatever rank you want to have. And then you can check out like what specific items, what custom traits you can add, what units you can add to kind of differentiate the comp a little bit to make it more your own. Next comp up we have is Cypher. So this comp's pretty easy to play. It's not quite like last set where you have to like play really differently with the chem tech. This one you just play the Cypher. Once you get the cash out, you get the attack damage and ability power buff. This comp does play a little bit weirdly though, because you want to play around 3-star Draven and Zed at the same time. People say that Draven's the more important unit, and I kind of agree because he actually does a lot of carrying, believe it or not. You may notice him when you're running a lot of other rapid fire team comps. If you use him as like a temporary item holder or something like that, he actually does a lot of work. But based on what Cypher cash out you get, it could be either like a lot of gold, some items, combination between the two. Sometimes it gives you some champions. Just spread them out as you see fit. Like obviously your main tank probably gonna be a Sejuani, melee carry Zed, and then backline carry Draven, and if you have even more items it could be Zeri or Renekton. But generally people aim for like a 200 cash out. If you can't get there, it's okay. The instructions are to just get Cyphers early, get a lose streak going, cash out on 3-7 or 4-3. I mean, you could do the even later ones, but like if you lose streak from the beginning, you're probably gonna die before that happens. So unless you get a ridiculous game where you get like tiny titans or tiniest titans, I forget what they're called, they're the player life augments, you probably just want to do it at 3-7 or 4-3. I personally like the 3-7 one a lot more because it's on the neutral round, so you have a bit more time to prepare. But obviously like you want to focus on getting the bigger cash out first, but anywhere around like 200 plus is probably going to be okay. But try your best to take good losses by killing a few units, but obviously prioritize losing every single round above all else, and then go to level 8, do your roll down, and then play for Zed and Draven 3 as we discussed before. For itemizations, it's pretty basic. Like Zed, you want just the basic melee bruiser items, so like i.e. handed justice. I like the double handed justice, but if you have edge and knight, that's perfectly fine. Bloodthirster works, like all that same stuff all works on him. But for Draven, like Last Whisper and red buff I like a lot. I talked about this last week, where he spreads a very good AoE, so he's actually a pretty good debuff applier. But Shojin's also nice because he's more of a caster, and IE's good because he is also a caster. Next one up we have is Anima Squad. It did get a slight nerf. I still think it's good. The late game cap you get with Aurora is so big. Just put a Morello on her. I don't like building Sunfire Cape when I play this comp because you do want the Morello or red buff on Aurora later. But if you have a Reforger, you could build the Sunfire Cape early and then worst case scenario, reforge it. But in the mid game, you want to focus on Leona and Xayah. In the early game, it could be like Vayne, Illaoi, and Sylas. Play around Vanguards or Bastions. But one goal of the Anima Squad comp is to make sure your units stay alive. That's why you like doing the full tank build on Leona. That way you always have someone to kind of trigger the Anima Squad kind of effects that go off. But overall, pretty simple build. If you do have +1 Anima, it does make it a lot easier to play. So I definitely would hard force this if I got the emblem, or if I got a big econ or win streak start. Same with every other fast 8 comp. By the way, like put Sejuani, Zax, Kabukos on your bench. If you want to pull them in with Aurora, that's probably going to be the best options. Next one up we have is going to be Street Demon. Street Demon is another vertical comp where it does help to have a +1 Street Demon. You combine it with 4 Strategists because you have built-in Strategists in the comp. Samira is worse, so she's not like something you really need to go for, but Brand's still pretty solid. Street Demon in general, I think is still pretty good, but it definitely is a lot worse than it was before. They are easy to play though, which is why these comps I think are pretty good, but as you get a bit higher, they might move down to the A tier. I guess I will move them down to the A tier for now, maybe at the top of A instead of in the S tier. So I'm gonna make that change right now. Next up, we're gonna have the Nitro comp. So there are 3 versions, as we talked about before. We have the Misfortune version, the Jihn version, and the Zeri version. All of them are pretty good. I think they're all pretty equal. Nothing too crazy going on there. But for Misfortune and Zeri, you just want to play with the Nitro start to start stacking the T-Hex or Robot, and then just standard level and play around a 4 cost, just like you would in any other situation with Sejuani as a main tank. But she kind of likes the mana items a bit more. I like Protector's Vow a lot, for example. And then building backline items. So if you have Rage Blades, put it on Zeri. If you have Spirit Shojin, i.e. go for Misfortune instead. Both of them can run Aurora for the super late game because she's a Dynamo, and it makes it quite easy to hit. But there are other options you can kind of tech in instead. For example, Viego's a techie unit, so you could play Viego if you want, if you have Viego items. It just depends what your leftovers are because you're focused on Sejuani and Misfortune. For Jihn reroll, you want to get 3 stars of a bunch of stuff, 4 Nitro as per usual, and focus on your Jihn build. Put the Exotech item on him. What's it called? Like pulsing something or something like that. I forget the exact name. It's like the red one. And then if you have Shyvana 3, itemize her. If not, itemize the Sejuani as your tank. But a pretty simple comp. You could flex in between a bunch of them. Get a Nitro start, see if you get more of the Nitros, and then if you get a bunch of them plus a Jihn, maybe go for Jihn reroll. If not, see what items you slammed early and go Zeri or Misfortune depending on what you got. Next build up we have is going to be Zeri Bastion. I'm not going to focus too much time on this comp because I think there are better Zeri comps out there, but pretty much any Zeri comp works. It does not really matter in my opinion. Just make sure you do the Flux Capacitor plus the Rage Blade plus a Gunblade because she's going to be living infinite with the 6-person tank line, and you'll be good to go. By the way, if you do have the Hextech Gunblade, you could put your Renekton to eat the Zeri, and then she should heal back up. But if not, if you don't have that, if you have double Rage Blade, then make sure it hits like something else, like just any unit. Next build up we have is going to be Syndicate Twisted Fate reroll. This is going to be a double Rage Blade build with Gunblade, and pretty much the reason why you build this is because Twisted Fate gains AP every auto attack. So if you're not building attack speed on him, like what are you doing? It's pretty much built-in Archangel with the added bonus that he also attacks faster. Darius is going to be the main tank. And then if you have Skarner on the way, just pick him up. And in the late game, you could play around Misfortune. You don't have to play 5 Syndicate. I kind of like it though, because you have 2 units to buff up. But I have seen some people go like tankier versions with like 4 Vanguard, for example. But in the super late game, you could of course drop in Aurora. We have 8 units here right now. So if you go 9, add in a Dynamo. Aurora is just a very solid unit. Put the Morello Shojin combo on her, and she pretty much fits in a lot of board. Anything with Dynamo, she could just play in because Dynamo's a 2-3-4 trait. So you don't need to go like 2 units deep to get like a threshold. You just need to add 1 unit. But only go for this comp if you have a lot of Twisted Fates and Dariuses, and +1 Syndicate definitely does help. That way you could drop Shaco. He's pretty useless in this build. Well, just because like you're not playing around him, right? You're playing around Twisted Fate. Next build up we have is Dynamo Misfortune. Some people don't really like Misfortune. I think she's actually pretty solid still, but you could play her in a lot of different stuff. Like some people might call it Misfortune Flex, if you heard of that build before. I just call it Dynamo, but you play 4 Dynamo and then play whatever else you could fit in. Obviously you want Syndicate because she wants the Fedora, and then you just combine it with other traits you can use. So I like using the 2 tank units, Braum and Darius. That way you could play stronger frontline with like Kabuko, Leona for Vanguard and Bruiser. And as with the previous build, I have seen other people go like 4 Vanguard and stuff like that just to get stronger frontline. But pretty much the only way to play this is if you build Shojin early, it's definitely something to consider. And I like playing 4-cost comps when I'm ahead. So having big econ or like a win streak start definitely does help out a lot. Next one up we have is Fiddlesticks, Bruiser. So you absolutely need the Bruiser emblem to make this work. You can't really play it without it. But combine that with 4 Boombot and Fiddlesticks, he goes absolutely nuts with double Archangels because they just get infinite stacking. So 4 augments. Cooking Pot's really good because it gets you the Bruiser emblem. And then you also get the stacking health from the Cooking Pot. Ascension, probably one of the best things ever because you get a lot of damage on your Fiddlesticks, and he pretty much will always trigger it because your team comp should live a long time. Any of the trait augments are good, such as Bruiser obviously to get the emblem, or Boombots to get to 4 Boombots because that's a huge power spike for Fiddle. I have not tried 6 Boombot Fiddle yet, but I'm sure it does do some work also. And then since you're really tanky for silvers, you could use Corrosive or Blistering Strikes just because they're good in long team fights. But obviously 3-cost reroll for this, go for Fiddlesticks. You could go for Mordekaiser and Gragas as well. But I think Cho'Gath is one of the best tanks in the game right now. I haven't actually checked the data on it. How is he doing? Let's look at play rate. He's at a 4.43 right now. I don't know if that's actually like that accurate. I don't know. He feels a lot better than it actually is. He's actually one of the bottom 4 costs right now for a tank, which is pretty bad, right? But obviously if you get a Bruiser comp going for him, he's going to be going extra ham because they're probably not playing him in 6 Bruiser. They might be playing him in like a 2 Bruiser comp, and obviously Kabuko is nerfed a bit, but The main carry is going to be Fiddlesticks, but with 6 Bruiser, Cho'Gath, he doesn't die. I don't even care what the data says. Like, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't matter. I guarantee you in a lot of games, people are playing Cho'Gath in a different comp, and that's why he's probably not as good. Next comp up we have is going to be Divinicorp. This one, you don't really need to pay attention to too much because it's a Zed build, but if you're playing Cyphers, you might as well just go the Cypher build. But if you want to play around like Zed and like Vex, it is something to consider still. I think the comp's still playable, but it definitely is like a step below. But if you do get Divinicorp emblem, just drop it on your Zed and then go for this comp, get to 7, and I still think it is pretty strong. Next build up, we have a Shaco Reroll. This one's just like a Slayer focus build. You could go like level 6 to level 8. It goes from 4 to 6 Slayer. And you could itemize like Mundo if you get him 3-star. Shaco obviously is a main carry, i.e. Edge of Night, Hand of Justice. It also works really, really well with artifact items. Like all these melee 1-cost reroll builds or any reroll build with melee carry, they work really, really well with artifacts that go up like a whole tier. So that's going to be like Prowler's Claw. Well, here, let's just check the data. Go to items and then go to artifacts. Turn off the filter because there aren't enough games yet. And it's the usual suspects like Prowler's Claw and Death's Defiance, I'm going to assume are going to be the best ones. Like I don't need to know that it's a 3.5 to know that they're good. Like if you think of all the melee carries in the history of TFT, like Prowler's Claw, Spectral Cutlass, and Death's Defiance have always been really good on them. Same with like Mittens. All these items work out really, really well. There's not enough data because the patch came out very recently, so you need to wait a couple days for it to kind of populate. Collector, I thought would be better, not gonna lie, but all these are very good. If you get any of the melee DPS items from the artifacts, you're gonna be having a great time with this comp. Then in the later parts of the game, you want to play around your Zed and just play 6 Slayer. Pretty simple stuff there. Next build up we have is Seraphine Techie Reroll. This is just a 1-cost reroll comp for Seraphine and Zyra, and also Poppy. So if you ever get a lot of Seraphines in the early game, just go for this build. It's pretty solid stuff. Go deep into Techie, call it a day, not too complicated. Do 8 Techie eventually with Veigar in the late game. Brand can also hold some items pretty well too. You don't need to do Zyra if you don't have her. You could do like Seraphine, Brand, and then super late game Veigar. Next build up we have is Vayne Reroll. So Vayne I think is like S+ if you get the augment category 5, but if not, she's still pretty solid. Just go like Rageblade, Runons. If you have a lot of Vaynes, you could go for it. Just go for a Slayer Vanguard build. It's pretty much just like a tank and DPS build, and since she has built-in life steal from Slayer, getting the double Rageblade just makes her like infinite stack essentially. In the mid to late game, you could add in a Zed. In the super late game, you could add in a Renekton and eat your Vayne. That way Renekton becomes an absolute monster. If you do have Slayer Emblem, I'm sure Renekton holds it really well. I've not been in a game where I had Slayer Emblem with this comp yet, but I just have to assume that it does well. But I wouldn't go this comp too much unless you get like literally a ton of Vaynes, or if you get category 5. Like if I get category 5, I might just hard force this if it's uncontested, because I truly do think it is that good. Next build up we have are the B tiers. We have Strategist and we also have Aphelios. I think they're just not doing that well right now. Like they did get nerfed a bunch. Samira doesn't even count as a 5-cost anymore pretty much. But if you want to still play them, like some people, it depends on who you ask. Like some will say it's still good. I'm sure it is still playable. Like there are spots for it, right? But in terms of like playing it every game, which is what people were doing in the previous patch, like you don't need to do that anymore, or you shouldn't do that anymore because it did get nerfed too much. But overall, like I think what I'm gonna do is play a lot of Rengar as much as I can. I don't really like playing Exotech that much. It's not because it's a bad comp or anything. It's a very good comp, but I just don't find Exotech that fun. Same with Cypher. I don't really like the cash out comps. So I'm probably gonna focus on Executioner with Rengar. If I get the emblems, I'll go for one of these two. And maybe if I'm just playing regular, some default build that I want to play, maybe like a Nitro if I get it at the start. I don't know. We'll have to see. But let me know what your favorite comp is in the comments below and what comp you're going to be playing the most. And if you found this video helpful, I have a bunch of guides that I posted previously, such as like a leveling guide and an item guide, and I'm coming out with like more improvement specific guides, like how to get better and stuff. So do look out for that. I think I'll post it on like Thursday or Friday. But if you want more information on all these comps, head on over to bunnymuffins.lol/meta, join the Discord, and I hope to see you all in the next video.